Trade care product manager at Broker Engine. If you do pre-approvals like I do, I always try and do a pre-approval wherever possible. What I want to do is once a client gets pre-approved, of course, I want to try and convert that client to actually find the property and convert that to a full approval. So I eventually get paid. And so what I've done is I want to walk you through what we do as far as our workflow for pre-approval issued stage. And so inside of what you're looking at here is the workflow that brokers on Broker Engine would get by default. And I'm going to walk you through the key steps and maybe there's something there for you in your practice. So what we've got is initially when the deal moves into pre-approval stage, we would have a task, and the task is ultimately for the team to complete a bit of a checklist to ensure that that we know what the conditions are for the formal approval. We update the portal with those and just check that the pre-approval matches the requirements. Once that task is marked complete, there's a contact tag added, which is called AIP issued. And that tag triggers an SMS out via Zapier via Tricall. So the client now gets an SMS to say, hey, you've been pre-approved, congratulations. And here is the email that comes through. And our email to the client broadly says something like this. It just has an outline of the conditions, the approval expiry, and our role from here. So a bit of an email template. Again, Broker Engine users would have that by default, but of course they can come in here and they can make changes to the template if they're not happy with the language and so on. We then have and as part of that template I should add, we have an attachment there. So I always send out a bit of an attachment, your pre-approval, what you need to know. And the attachment is just something that looks like this. And look, I've been using this for a long time, so it probably needs a bit of an update, but you can sort of just a bit of a cheat sheet for the client just to make them aware of the sort of properties they shouldn't be using. You might do a blog on your website and a link to your website. That's probably a better way to do it. But I have the attachment and a bit of a PDF cheat sheet, a bit of an idea about choosing a conveyancer, how to make an offer, and conditions of your offer, along with inspection reports and a bit of a checklist once the offer's been received. So that gets attached to that email. And the advantage of that, of course, is the client now gets a pre-approval email with the pre-approval from the lender along with that attachment. And they've now got what they need, I guess, to move forward. They've got an email from us and also a text to say congratulations, and you may call them as well. We then want to try and obviously keep the client warm and keep in front of mind. So if they've got questions, they're looking for property, they're thinking of us. So we then have an automatic delay for 3 normal days. And then there's a bit of an email going out with firms we recommend. So, if they're looking for building and pest or conveyancing or some other related party, you'd attach that email a list, an attachment with all the firms you work with. If you've got preferred conveyancers and things like that, you might even have that as part of the content of the email, depending on whether you work all states or just one state. But up to you. Then have a delay of 7 days. We then have the offer for property reports. So, the idea of offering a free property report, and an attachment there it would be an example of a property report. So you'd actually have, I've got one here, we'd actually have an attachment of a relevant property report as a bit of an example, and just so get them prompted. So they're coming to you for those RP data reports for those property reports. We'd then have another delay for 7 days, for example. We then have a terms of offer. So when you're thinking about making an offer, just the content, content of that email is all about, look, you need 14 days finance. I'm sort of saying not 7. This is obviously for those states where you have finance dates, and just a bit about settlement dates and also going to optional without cooling off period. So again, it's all templated. So when you jump on Broker Engine, it's all there as a base for you to start with. You don't have to build it from scratch, but you can obviously jump in here and make the changes that you need. We then would have an email, that a 7-day delay, and then a reticular activator, or a RAS email, which talks more about referrals. Again, you might talks about referrals and the fact that, as soon as you go and start looking for a house, you start noticing other people looking to buy houses as well. Or if you've ever bought, a car, you've never seen that car before, you buy a brand new car and suddenly that's all you see on the road. Or when you're pregnant, suddenly now all you see is pregnant women around. We then have after 7 days, pre-approval expiring. So obviously what happens is at the end of the 7 days, end of the 90 days roughly, all those delays would equal somewhere close to 90 days. There's an email about 2 weeks out to say, hey, your pre-approval is expiring. Do you want to update that pre-approval now? And you might actually do a different pre-approval issued based on the lender, and you can do that here. So you can actually go, look, you might have a pre-approval issued based on the lenders that do a 90-day pre-approval with no extension. You might have a different one for lenders that do a 180-day pre-approval, but updated documents after 90, up to you. But you can just do that by very simply just selecting the lenders in here, and the workflow only apply to those particular lenders. Finally, at the end, You've then got the option of a task. Are we going to extend the AOP? And if yes, we're then going to move the stage back to stage 2, prepare deal for AOP. So we'll just update that pre-approval and send it through. You could also do an automatic publish of a client portal as well, or you could also do another contact tag, and send out an SMS, email expiring or something like that. But by default, that's what you would normally get out of Broker Engine, and broadly what I use in my practice. A couple of additional final things that you might want to try is this option here, cancel pending workflow steps on stage exit. Obviously, if the deal moves on to the next stage, they've got a contract, we don't want to be pinging them about, how to make an offer or about your pre-approvals expiring and things like that. So the option there, that if this deal moves on, this workflow will kill itself. It will not continue any further steps that haven't been completed. That's how we would manage pre-approval in our practice. The pre-approval's issued, there's then a drip feed set of emails, the odd text message as well, and an automatic reminder towards the end that it's expiring with an email template to send out, talking about the advantages of actually reactivating that pre-approval expiry date. And that email looks something like this. Remember that pre-approval is free, it's worthwhile doing, etc., etc. All the messages you want to be delivering to your client to convert that client so you can get paid. That's how we manage pre-approvals in our practice and inside of Broker Engine. Anything tweaks your interest there, brokerengine.com.au for it down.